Hello and welcome to the Warp Report. We are back again. Sorry for the random hiatuses that I've been having. We've been having some scheduling issues and other things going on right now, but we are not dead, I promise you. In fact, we have returned from the Black Library, and we are here. I'm here with Rock and Rachel to give Rock a crash course in what is the best Warhammer literature. How are we doing today?
I wouldn't say I have the collection of like the best Warhammer literature, but I have a large collection of extremely niche literature specific to my interests. So, I mean, I think it's good, of course, but
well, nothing much for me.
See.
Nothing much. Nothing much.
Although I recently did get called. I remember I forget what we were talking about, but I remember Suhoon called in the chat. He's like, "Hey, where's our resident lore master Nick? What's going on with this?" I'm like, "Yes, hello." I'm definitely more the. Although within 30 seconds of that happening, I texted Rachel. I'm like, "Ha! I'm the lore nerd."
Oh,
you were the lore nerd.
I'm just saying. Okay, I want to touch on something real quick from this weekend, just to set the record straight for everyone.
Oh my god,
Rachel, we had to talk about this.
We're not going over this again.
Rachel, we talked about this. We have ranked. We have adjusted our Primarch rankings. Fulgrim is just below Magnus.
What?
Who
and
is the
above
top?
Mortarion.
Who is the top of A tier? And honestly,
when was this?
Honestly, if we're being honest, Magnus should beat any Primarch. Except maybe Horus.
Juice Taurus.
Yeah.
When was this?
Yeah.
Let's be real.
We were chatting, but the thing is, it's because the only thing faster than Fulgrim is basically Magnus casting a spell. It's the only thing faster.
Okay, so I have some lore backup for this one. In Saturnine, Magnus uses his power to heal Mortarion slightly so that he's not constantly in pain. So if Magnus can do that, just a little bit, it's very casual too. Like he doesn't even exert any effort or think about it, and he heals Mortarion enough that Mortarion can like stand up straight and he's not hunched over in pain. And he's like, "How'd you do that?" And he's like, "Well, you're my brother. I don't want to see you in pain all the time." So he literally just kind of casually heals Mortarion of Nurgle's affliction, just enough for him to not be in pain. So if Magnus can do that, I'm just saying.
Now, in the case of Godblight, I know it's more powerful. Couple of things to my case. A, does Mortarion get the Godblight off with how fast Fulgrim is? B, the Godblight took time to wear down Gilliman. That's not even a demon Primarch.
Wait a minute. Full disclosure, who has read Godblight?
I have.
I have not. Go ahead, Nick.
Okay. That's all I'm going for right there. I'm not going to mention any more. But then C, are you really assuming that there's a disease out there that Fulgrim has not contracted in some way, shape, or form before? No, he comes in very close contact with everyone. He's got everything. STD.
This is hilarious.
Bro, like, that. Yeah, my reasoning was Mortarion's too slow. And on a Psyker level, he's competing with another Demon Primarch and a Keeper of Secrets at the same time. And Mortarion's not a particularly gifted Psyker, so it would probably be too much to deal with both of them.
He could be if he didn't hate Psykers.
A chump. It's not like a chump Psyker or a chump Keeper of Secrets either. It's the Layer Blade. Like, this thing was enough to overpower Primarchs. That's not a chump.
It's not the same thing with Morty's side, if we're talking about it. If that's the same thing.
Morty's scythe isn't possessed by a demon that possessed him.
Yeah, it's not a demon weapon.
I literally read it in the
codex. Not a demon weapon.
Wait, Rock, what? Rock, just because it says demon weapon doesn't mean it is literally a demon.
It is not. The silence is not possessed.
Silence is just a really cool scythe. Like, the layer blade is an actual demon.
I have the codex right here.
But like, Fulgrim moves at the speed of light.
Silence. Mortarion wields a towering sight named Silence, whose warped haft is long as the wielder's tall. Blah 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 blah. It does say there's a. Okay. Wait, hold on. Just give me a moment.
Yeah, go ahead, Rock.
Enlighten us.
Just give me a moment. I know like a demon's in there or something like that. There's something.
Insert the Luke meme.
Wow.
Know your place, trash.
I hear. Plague demon. Okay, plague demon dwells.
I feel like
dwells within the sensor that tops its haft or something.
Which means the top
within the
part,
sensor, not the
actual scythe.
It's not the same thing.
Also, buddy. I hate to break this to you. I hate to break this to you. Nurgling's a plague demon.
Yeah.
Yeah, that could be possessed by a Nurgling for all we know.
There could just be a Nurgling in there having a wild time
but like,
on this roller coaster ride as Mortarion swings Silence around.
From the debate that we had at the bar.
It's probably a plague bear,
debate
honestly.
That we had at the bar.
Probably a plague bear.
The Godblight is so strong to the point that like it's enough to give redemption to Kugath, who fell into the bong or the pot or whatever and drank all the thing.
Right, it can kill a Primarch, but it's not instant death. Which is not, that's the issue. It's not instant death.
It takes time to work.
So, Fulgrim would probably get... I mean, let's remember also, Fulgrim took a virus bomb to the face and it wounded his pride.
Yeah, also...
This man is an absolute unit and a literal glutton for punishment.
Also,
he would probably love it.
Let's provide a little bit of context behind the discussion we just had. We spent... 3 hours or so in a bar last weekend celebrating one of our 40 Korea members' birthdays, John. Happy birthday. And we spent like 3 hours ranking Primarchs on a tier list. From S.
Horus was number one.
Horus was number one. And we had it like on a power scale of like at the height of their power.
Right.
Who could beat who in a duel. Horus was number one. As he should be. And then Sanguinius and the Lion were the top of S tier, along with Horus. Now, my pride let them stay there, they were and that was fine with me. They were the unbeatable
duelists.
Yeah, my pride let them stay there. But honestly, Magnus might even go in front of those two.
The reason I'm not putting Magnus in S is because his Warlord trait is literally arrogance of the eons.
Okay, so you really you're gonna make an argument for Magnus to be lower because of that, but you're not gonna make an argument for Fulgrim to be lower because of that?
That's why Fulgrim's not in S tier either.
Well,
that's why he's below Magnus. No, that's why they're both down in A tier.
Well, yeah. Anyway, so yeah,
that's literally why he's below Magnus, below everyone, below the Lion, is because he would showboat, and so. He's down there for the same reason Magnus is.
Basically, we ranked all the
demon
Primarchs
are unbeatable.
Yeah, we ranked all the Primarchs.
Lorgar's in D tier where he belongs.
We just unanimously canoot divorce our hatred of Lorgar from our rankings. Yeah. So I think that was mostly it.
I mean, actually, he is the weakest. Canonically too. He's an orator. He's not a fighter.
I mean, he can.
The only reason that the humans the demi-human spreadsheet got as high as he did is because he has the burning blade.
Who has the burning blade?
The human Excel spreadsheet.
Oh, you're talking about Gilliman.
Robot girly man.
You know what? And as somebody who has read books in which both of those characters get to fight, I'm not saying... I mean, I wouldn't want to fight Lorgar personally. I wouldn't want to fight Gilliman either, especially if he's mad. But
I mean, Rowboat is no joke.
No, yeah, he when he gets angry, it's very entertaining, and Lorgar can swing too. I mean, they are all Primarchs. They can all beat pretty much everyone. Yeah. Well,
it's like my Lord of Change whenever I play my Greater Demons. they're like, oh, is that thing killing combat? I'm like, it's the weakest of my big guys. It's like it's the weakest of my greater demons, but it's still a greater demon. Like, it's the weakest one, but that's kind of relative at this point.
Yeah. But anyways, that's what we spent the weekend doing. And
yeah,
no regrets. That was insanely entertaining, especially because John was like really treating it like a UN summit. Like we had time to present arguments, like for the ones that were ranked equally in A tier. He was like, okay, who would you like to represent? So I became
I am the lore master, and I am the lore master, and I got like no respect.
Well, I mean, read more books, I guess.
I'm literally the lore master. I literally probably the most well-versed person on the whole of 40K in our chat.
Look,
actually, no, I'm not gonna say that. I'm up there though.
If there's anybody that's read enough Horus Heresy books where I feel like I can confidently speak
but
on
even you
some
agreed
parts
with
of the lore,
me.
There's certain parts that I agreed on you with, yeah.
The moment you divulge Fulgrim's personality from his abilities, the dude's unbeatable.
Oh yeah, but like that's the whole point about the Primarchs is they are their personalities. Like
no, but
you
I'm
can't
saying
divorce
like
that.
not like not divorcing his personality like in combat. No, just him as a entity. Like the hatred of him as an entity.
Oh no, I don't hate Fulgrim.
I think he's such an.
Wait,
I think
do
he's
we count
I don't hate Fulgrim. Like out of all the
demon-
Chaos
demon
Primarchs.
Primarch Fulgrim as a Fulgrim, and he's already dead.
No, we're
Fulgrim's very much alive.
Yeah, he's just strapped in the back seat of his own body. Nope.
No. What would have killed him?
I'm not so sure actually. So
Is clone
what I've
Fulgrim
heard
still
is
alive?
that
in
like
stasis.
when he turned into the demon Primarch, as he turned into demon Primarch, he died or something. Like the Fulgrim.
The Fulgrim that they knew died.
Okay, so wait a minute.
Because Fulgrim took a full back seat. He's basically strapped into the chair in the back of his mind. He's basically watching his life through his eyes, but has no control.
Right. Also, just fair warning for anybody, we should have said this before we got like 10 minutes into the podcast, but major spoiler warnings for a lot of things.
Yeah.
We're not gonna, I don't want to go too in depth on like specific spoilers,
We're not gonna
but it's going to be like general spoilers
Yeah.
for everything. Spoiler
We're not
alert.
going to spoil too much past like anything too lore specific past Flight of the Eisenstein, which frankly, like if you're really interested in that book, go read it. But also if you're into 40K for any reasonable amount of time that you're listening to a 40K podcast, you know what happens.
I mean, yeah, Horus doesn't.
Enough people have talked about it. You know what happens.
Yeah, I mean,
we all know how the song and dance ends, people.
Spoiler alert: Sanguinius dies,
way. Bro. No way, bro.
Hey, spoiler alert.
No way.
The Emperor gets put on the golden throne.
No way. Spoiler alert.
So it's kind of like,
yeah.
We'll try not to spoil any specifics, but we'll also mention the names of books or characters before we talk about them.
Yep.
So if maybe you're interested in that character, you can fast forward through.
Which is kind of what I did. I guess part of what we're going to talk about is book order, what books are worth looking into depending on what you're interested in. And
we can talk about our favorite characters in some of the books.
Yeah. And Rob can talk about his favorite characters too, and his favorite books.
Gillamom is the grade A boss of the entire Horus Heresy.
I don't know. Latara Sarin would like to have a word with you.
Gillamom, though?
Latara Sarin would like to have a word with you. How dare you disrespect the captain of the Conqueror like that?
The thing is, the captain of the Conqueror has the backing of Angron. Gillamom was just squaring up.
I mean, but she squares up to Angron regularly. And Angron's like, yeah, I don't know which is
scarier, Angron or Conrad. I don't know which is worse. Because at least like Angron will kill you and it'll be quick. Yeah, Kurz, it ain't gonna be. You will not enjoy this. It will not be over quickly.
Anyway, yeah, there's some obviously
I'm still
well-loved, very fun
surprised.
characters.
I'm still a firm believer the Night Lords should be Slaanesh.
Yeah, I'm surprised
they're
aren't.
not like they're not.
The whole torture thing is
Yeah,
like
but they're not
super
claimed.
Slaanesh though.
They're not claimed by any
I
of
know.
the Chaos Gods.
I know, but they should be.
I mean, some of them are, but like,
I feel like if they do get claimed, it should be Slaanesh because like torture is Slaanesh's thing.
Well,
I feel
there's
like
still
they're so
chaos
desperately motivated that
undivided.
there's not. Yeah, and a lot of them really don't like chaos or
They just hate the
demons or the
Imperium
warp or
in general,
anything
I
like
guess.
that, and they hate it. Yeah,
They're-
well, not they
actually,
hate the
so
Imperium.
fun fact. This is something I learned from Justin. So you know how the Chaos Warbands and Horus Heresy have
Right.
hated foes, like the Iron Warriors. It's the Imperial
Right.
Fists,
Right.
things like that. The traitor, you can play traitor warbands of different factions. So the traitor Raven Guard are the Raven Guard who were the Terrans before Korax got the Legion. And you know about them in the books. They're not Korax's fans. They don't like him. You know, it's the classic,
Right.
I salute the rank, not the man.
Right.
They hate him. But they get put off on their own missions. They get separated from the rest of the Raven Guard. It's literal like Terran segregation. They are not part of the they are put on their own stuff. Well, the Raven Guard, the traitor Raven Guard, their hatred is not Raven Guard, it's hated enemy Corvus. Specifically Corvus.
Just Corvus.
Like, screw that man in particular. Just him.
See, I
was talking to Justin about it. We're having a good laugh about how the army is literally does nothing about that except against Corvus alone.
See, I thought you were gonna put in like, oh, each traitor legion has this one specific loyalist legion that they hate, and vice versa.
I think they all do.
And they do. And I thought you were gonna say that like, it's Raven Guard and Night Lords like fighting constantly on who's better at being sneaky and like killing people from the shadows.
No, the traitor Raven Guard specifically hate Korax.
Damn.
Nobody else.
That's funny. Yeah, like Kurz really hates Korax because he's like, oh man, he does my job.
I believe
but better.
the loyalist Raven Guard, their traitor legion, I believe is the Night Lords.
I'd believe it.
Don't quote me on that. I got to double check the rules on heresy, but because I play Demons of the Ruin Storm, so I don't bother with the tiny Tin Man rules.
I don't bother with the tiny
I bother
Tin
with
Man
more
rules.
cosmic. I bother with the more cosmic and deified rules of Demons of the Ruin Storm.
Oh, aren't you fancy?
Oh.
Oh, I'm special. I play a niche army.
Yeah, I am.
I'm
That's
special.
literally the definition. That's literally the definition of special. Rare.
How
without,
rare is it? Is
without
it medium rare?
comparison.
Hey.
Oh my. Okay, so anyways,
You know
that's
what?
been the work report.
I made a resolution now to be nice to Rock, so we're gonna shut my mouth.
How's that working out for you, buddy?
It's as rare as you beating me in a game of Warhammer. Zing!
Okay.
You pushed my button.
Oh no. But yeah, so I guess this episode's gonna be mostly books.
At least it's
or
all
at least,
like this.
we're gonna talk a little bit about what's on the tabletop as well, like lore stuff reflected on the tabletop, or maybe
Right.
vice versa. But it's mostly gonna be books, and then to a degree audiobooks as well, because a lot of the Warhammer books that I've consumed have been audiobooks. So
I mean, it is the best way to do it.
I mean, yeah, honestly, what's better than sitting there painting your army and listening to Warhammer audiobooks, getting that lore in your ears? It's very good stuff.
Yeah. Some way that some of the names are pronounced, I just can't do it. So
Oh no,
sometimes-
no, we're getting into this again, huh?
How they pronounce Sanguinius's name.
You know, they're British
Like,
as hell. What
what
are you
did
gonna
it
do
say?
about it?
This is why we rebelled. This is why we rebelled,
And
man.
yes, you're playing the UK game, my dude.
He knew.
Yeah, and they use inches, so I mean,
But yeah. and their number one market is the U.S.
What?
But
I mean,
no, they
well.
called him a
What?
sanguinus.
Oh, okay,
You know what?
I'm done with this podcast. Okay, that's how
In what
Thank you.
audiobook did they call?
Or it was something screwy like that. It was in Horse Rising. Horse Rising.
Oh yeah, he's not my favorite narrator. The guy who did
Anyways,
that book.
Oh my God.
and more important facts, everybody, Rock, buckle in. Rachel, push up your glasses. Let's get our library cards and talk about our favorite books. So my first question becomes all this is the books versus the game. How did we get into it? Was it the books first? Did you get into the game and then the books? Because I believe all three of us come from what I call the three major backgrounds of Warhammer, which is the hobby, the competitive, and the lore side. So Rock, why don't you kick off? Have you read the books? Let's start with that.
No, none of it.
Perfect. Buckle up. Rachel,
I was
what
like,
about you?
why
How'd
are
you
you
do
even asking him that when the only
I
book
had to make sure.
the only book he has
Okay.
even touched is his codex, and even then the spine is
No,
still pretty
he hasn't.
fresh. Okay,
No,
no,
I was gonna
Nick,
say.
Nick, you can't
You're
say he
kidding.
didn't because I heard the pages rustle as he tried to quote us on how silence is a weapon made of demons.
Oh yeah,
There's a demon
I'm pretty
in there.
sure.
There's a
Actually,
demon in there.
I used Rock's Codex in the Masters of Korea. I'm pretty sure I've read it more than he has at this
Oh.
point.
Wow. Okay.
Anyway,
Okay.
there's still time for you, Rock. I believe in you.
Okay, to be fair, I guess the only lore-wise or something that's close to the lore, it would be the other podcast listening to Adeptus Ridiculous. And how I actually got introduced to 40K was if Emperor had a text-to-speech device.
Well, there you go.
After
Honestly,
watching that
that's a
video.
pretty common entry. Yeah.
Yeah.
After watching that video, I was like, oh, it's not really that like I don't know, like grim dark that I thought that it would be, and boy was I wrong.
Well, I mean,
Adeptus Ridiculous or Emperor Text to Speech highlights the ridiculous parts of the lore.
Yes,
and there's a lot.
Yeah,
There's a lot.
There's a lot
Because there is the grim darkness, but there is a lot of funny
The
moments and
comedy's
comedy
there.
and stuff like
Well,
that in there too.
If everything's grimdark, then nothing is. It's the moments of comedy and hope and the things that you love that make the grimdark that much darker.
Right.
Right,
It's what makes
because,
you give people hope and then you crush it. It is
Oh my god!
you get to
God.
see more light leave their eyes.
Right.
And they're very good at
I
that.
agree in that sense. Like there can't be no good if there's no evil. Am I right?
Yes,
It's
Rob.
the yin and yang, like literally.
There's got to be a balance.
Exactly.
So yeah, actually, I got into 40K because of the books. I had a friend of mine back home, shout out to Taylor, who ruined my life by putting a copy of Forest Rising in my hands. And
God.
it took me like, I don't know, I started reading it and I just wasn't really like getting into it. I don't know. It took me like a month to finish the first like 3 or 4 chapters. I would just pick it up and put it back down. I used to read a lot as a kid, but I just haven't read since, I don't know, like high school. Like I used to read just on my free time, but ever since like high school, college, I just stopped reading. And
So when you got responsibilities.
yeah, once life caught up to me essentially. And
Yeah,
then that book, like I got past the first 3 or 4 chapters and then I finished the rest of the book in like 2 days. And I was just hooked. I was like, I need more. I need more.
Nice.
So
nice.
I read through Horse Rising, False Gods, Galaxy in Flames, and then Flight of the Eisenstein. And then I just kind of jumped around to whatever I wanted. And I read 48 books last year, just for Warhammer. And I think I've read 11 so far this year, and I'm getting close to the end of the book that I am reading right now. So yeah, that'll be 12 soon. It's good stuff. I really enjoy it, and I'm happy that I've gotten into reading again because it feels really good, honestly.
Yeah. And I'll probably be reading again here soon once I'm not working, 13-hour days.
Right. I mean, I really read the most when I'm on the subway or on the bus, because instead of like scrolling social media or something like that, I keep books on my phone and I just read on my phone. It's really nice. And then I also listen to audiobooks while I'm painting or doing other stuff. Like if I do chores around the house, washing dishes, whatever, something like that, I just put on an audiobook and listen to chapters and stuff like that. It's really good.
Yeah.
All right.
How I got into this, we'll go with my reawakening, as it were. Because I wasn't super into lore whenever I first started playing. I barely understood the game. So when I got back into it, I got back in through the tabletop competitive side. I don't think I've ever properly told you this, but the way I got back into it is I saw a Ares gunship get charged by 10 Death Company with Thunderhammers, and I thought that was the funniest thing I'd ever seen in my life.
And did it work? Did the gunship die?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
It was
yeah,
10
absolutely.
Death Company with Thunderhammers. They absolutely died.
There we go.
Yeah, it was absolutely hysterical. So, yeah, that's where I kind of started.
Yeah, I mean, the only reason I got into the tabletop at all was because of the books, essentially.
But yeah, then I'm just like, I ran into a special anniversary copy of Horus Rising at a bookstore. Rachel, you've seen my copy.
Yeah, it's a fancy copy.
It's like I've never seen it. I've never seen another one like it. I don't even know. I think it's an anniversary copy, but I'm actually not sure. So if anyone knows and can tell me, it's a blue and yellow hardback, and it simply just has Horus's face on it. Yeah, it's a really odd copy. I don't know. I'm not 100% sure on like what it was created for, but it doesn't look like any of the other Horus Rising covers I've ever seen.
Right.
It does look cool though.
Yeah, it's a beautiful book, and I would love to. I'm actually looking at it right now, and I love it. But I really want to get more books, but Black Library is a nub, and they don't keep making their books for some reason. They discontinue them.
A nub.
Oh, I guess they have their own reasons to quote unquote.
Yeah, they're nubs.
I love how it's.
I'm just glad that there's ways to get, like, I can get the ebooks over here because it's like pretty much impossible to get Black Library books over here if you want to get like the physical copies.
Yeah.
And then shipping is just
it's
insane.
impossible.
So as much as I like having physical books, it's nice to be able to just get the ebooks and read them on the go. And I can keep like 4 or 5 books on my phone that I'm reading through all at the same time because I'm crazy. And I like to read like 5 books at the same time. Hey,
that's how I do it.
Just in case I'm feeling a little loyalist today, I can read that book. If I'm feeling a little chaos that day, I can read that book. It's whatever, right? We need the palate cleanser in between.
All right.
Speaking of books, what is your favorite book series? Like, what's your favorite book or like your favorite trilogy? Because the books are usually released in series. If you had to pick your favorite, what would it be?
So, that's pretty hard.
I think I'm about to have a new favorite here pretty soon.
Yeah.
Pretty soon.
It's probably gonna be the Titan Death.
Like you mean like just Titan Death?
Like that or the Angron books.
Books. Like plural?
Like the books with Angron.
Oh,
like
just
the books with Angron in it.
Books with Angron.
Yes, books with Angron.
Well,
that sounds like sounds like a sit down like talk show with tea.
I'm imagining it more as like the
just got the ASMR mic. And welcome back to Books with Angron.
And it's just like
incoherent
host, screaming.
Primarch Angron.
I'm imagining it more like a Sesame Street corner, like honestly.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
A is for Angron.
A is for
exactly. To answer the question though,
I'm just like looking at
God.
No, I'm just like imagining like Sly Marbo in the background going like
Yeah, pretty much. That's correct.
Hey, speaking of Sly Marbo, that is another great series, the Sly Marbo. There's anything with him in it.
Like what does not kill Sly Marbo? Like it's insane. Like what I heard.
Sly Marbo once threw a grenade and killed 10 people. Then the grenade exploded.
What?
It's yeah, I actually don't know though. Considering like
How?
I have to like disclaimer here, I've pretty much only read books that were like Horus Heresy or Space Marine focused, minus the couple that I've read that
she
are like
wants the yes battle brother.
well yeah, it's I'm only here for the like oversized man children war criminals, so like
That's like the
they're so
entirety of 40K.
they're so entertaining. Like honestly, I know there's a lot of people
Um,
who really like the human element of 40K, which I can admit can be really interesting, but I tend to gravitate more towards the books that are like, you know, ridiculous
I
space
definitely
marine stuff.
lean more towards the Xenos books.
The
All
Xenos.
5 of them.
The Dirty Xenos.
Well, there's a whole trilogy for the Necrons have a ton.
I'm joking. The joke is
Yeah.
that the Black Library like basically doesn't write Xeno books.
No, the Eldar only have a couple. But the thing is, the ones that the Xenos have are really good.
Really no.
Because you got the Orc one. I forget the name of it, but there's an Orc one that's apparently extremely good. You have the Twice Dead King series.
Mm.
And of course, you have what I think is the single greatest piece of literature Black Library has put out, The Infinite and the Divine.
I knew you were gonna say that. Which it's on my list. It just keeps getting pushed down the list by other stuff that comes up, and I'm like, oh, I gotta read that.
He
So-
drifted a Gosark into a T-Rex.
Yeah, that sounds
But
amazing.
why?
Why not?
The T-Rex needed to die.
You're asking why Trazen
Jesus.
does anything. Like, why
Actually,
not?
one of my favorite parts about Trazen the Infinite is basically the fact that he was racing Orkin and someone figured out via context clues, while the book was like portraying them in a super death race. With context clues, someone picked out that they were only doing like 25 miles an hour.
Jesus.
Just old robot man things.
Now, if you want serious Necron books that I think are probably the best ever written by Black Library, and this goes up there with Horus Rising.
Oh, that's
Twice
a,
Dead King.
That's a claim.
The Twice Dead King, the books on Cesaric, the Silent King. Like those are some of the just best written books. One thing I like is the main character, and without spoiling too much, he has voices in his head because of his age. But he has this ability to dredge up memories from when he was a Necrontyr, but he instantly forgets them as soon as he does. And he can never retrieve them again. So he's got like a once per battle memory recall. And it's actually like really cool, but his different emotions, what used to be emotions, are now voices in his head.
Damn.
So like the anger is just like a primal entity just screaming. Yeah, so it's actually like really cool. Like that anger is basically a flayed one, almost. So it's actually, and it actually goes into what we know about the flayed one virus. So it like portrays how the Necrons view it, and it's from the point of view of a lord or a former noble. So he's still fully sentient and conscious. But yeah, Cesaric is an absolute god level unit. Like, it's just good books. Highly recommend Twice Dead King.
I've got
that whole series, Ruin, all them.
I guess because I've been thinking about it. It's hard to pick a singular Black Library book that I'm like, oh yeah, this one's my favorite. But
that's always hard.
I really like Master of Mankind. It's super good in my opinion.
It's a good one.
Especially because it focuses on the Emperor and the War in the Webway.
And the sad boy the sad boy.
Yes, my favorite sad boy Blood Angel character, Dominion Zephyr.
Poor Dominion, man. I love him so much, but it's just like, oh,
bless that kid.
But remember, it's like it's you that has the really sad Vanguard vet that I want you to make into Dominion Zephyr.
Oh God.
I'll be kit bashing my own model because I don't have good things to say about the one that GW released for him recently.
Context on this one. Rachel sent me a picture of a of a Vanguard vet that whenever she glued it together, it ended up just all the parts she picked. It was a blood angel with its claws at its side, just looking at the ground.
He just looks really depressed. Like,
and I immediately texted back when it's take your child to work day, but you have no dad.
Oh. But
We're
yeah.
loving it. So Dominion Zephin, sad boy. He's a great character.
Yeah, he's a great character. Also, the Siege of Terra books are ridiculously good. Even the one that I think is the weakest out of all of them is still a pretty good book.
Which one do you think's that?
Mortis, which is really sad
fair.
for me as a Titan enthusiast to say. But honestly, I forgot like a majority of that book. But maybe that's just because it came off the absolute hype train that was Saturnine. Because Saturnine is ridiculously good.
That's how do you make a tall man seem taller? Put him next to a short man.
I mean, Saturnine was really good.
Yeah.
Also, the Solar War definitely broke me emotionally so hard that I just stared at a wall for like an hour and I couldn't process how hurt I was. So
that's fair.
No spoilers for what that event is, but I was devastated. And I've been devastated at Black Library books before, don't get me wrong, but this was probably the worst one.
Oh, do you know which one's coming that is just going to
Oh my god,
us?
I'm so excited for the next two books.
The Bridge of the Vengeful, yeah.
No. So first of all, the next
we have the Eternity Gate next.
Yeah, the next book that's coming out, Echoes of Eternity. I am so excited because it's going to be Sanguinius focused, so obviously my bias plays a lot into the hype here, right? But it's also
the hype tree.
It's also written by Aaron Dembski Bowden, who's one of my favorite Black Library authors because he writes some really fun and fantastic characters. Master of Mankind is done by him. The Night Lords trilogy, which is also fantastic, is done by him.
Night Lords Omnibus, one of the best trilogies.
It's so good.
Ever.
And I'm listening to Black Legion currently. That's also done by him. Really enjoying it. So
I just gotta say, do you know who really wins with that book? What was it? At the End of Eternity?
Echoes of Eternity?
Echoes of Eternity. Do you know who really wins with that one? Me. You know why?
Why?
I get Kabunda.
Maybe.
I get more Kabunda content.
We'll see. Yeah,
I'm thing
all
that would
for...
be better than Kabunda content is Scarbrain content.
I'm all for a book that's going to be like 75% Sanguinius air comboing demons in front of the Eternity Gate. I'm so down for that. Like, I don't care. People are like, oh, it's not, like, I don't want to just see, like, combat and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, look, well, I kind of want to see people get dunked on. Like, it's really entertaining.
You have the plebeians that are like, oh, I want character development, not combat. You got Rachel in the corner.
I'm like, I want both.
Mother.
I can get
She's
both.
just like, mother. I crave violence. Sometimes people just need to get comboed on. Like it's very entertaining. And there's some characters like I genuinely don't want to see back in the lore that I love, like Shalaxi Hellbane. I don't want her back in the lore because she got so poorly. She got Kaldor Dragoed, where she was written to such an extreme, she can't be brought back into the she can't be brought back into the universe realistically.
I kind of
what's that redhead Eldar name? Idrain?
Dude, if anybody's gonna know anything about Eldar in this chat right now, it's gonna be you. So
it's an I want to say Idriel, but I know that's from Lord of the Rings: The Third Age. But yeah, it was her, a Harlequin, which I can't remember their name because I don't really care about the clowns.
Oof.
It was the leader of Kamara. I'm blanking on a lot of names because I'm so tired. Which is the guy, the head of the Jukari.
Vect? No.
Huh? Yeah, it was Vect, Drazar,
Asdriel, Vect, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it was Vect, Drazar, Hesperax, and I think those other two. Or it was like basically the top 5, or no, Yvrain was there. It was the top 5 lineup of the Eldar races. Drukari, Craftworld, Heralds of Yanid, and the Harlequins. Top 5 lineup.
The Exodites nowhere to be found, like usual.
Shh. We don't talk about them.
There's Eldars riding dinosaurs. What's not to love?
An astral projection of Shalaxi Hellbane, like 1% of her power, nearly bodies all 5 of them.
Yeah, that's not a good deal.
Solo. And I'm like, I get that Shalaxi is like the most powerful keeper in existence. But like, bro, now you can't bring her out because
she is
the Eldar race ends. Like, you can't find a good way to bring Shalaxi in at full power and not have just the Eldar race end. So I'm kind of sad.
Which is a good transition, honestly.
Yeah. Going back, though, to if they ever get, off the 2 minutes till midnight thing. Going back to Andrew Dembski-Bowden.
Aaron Dembski-Bowden.
You guys, sorry, Aaron Dembski-Bowden.
Put some respect on ADB's name.
I'm tired. Who do you think is the best author at Black Library, and why is it Dan Abnett?
See, this is like their styles are so different that it's
Dan
hard.
Abnett just is a great world builder. I think ADB is a better character builder, but I think Abnett's the best world builder.
And Chris Wright, apologies if I say that wrong, also good.
Yeah. Yep.
I'm also putting some respect on Guy Haley for
Guy Haley. My favorites are Dan Abnett and Guy Haley.
I
was gonna get into Guy Haley in our next segment because he does what is contending for my favorite series. And something up there. But which is Godblight. I'm not going to talk about it because it's still pretty fresh. It is an earth-shattering book as far as the lore goes. It is like just a groundbreaking book, and it changes everything. So you got to read it, and I won't say anything more about it, but it is, as far as like advancing the lore goes, it is Indomitus level.
Ooh.
It's Gilliman waking up levels.
Not bad.
In case anyone didn't know that Gilliman was awake. Spoilers.
There's a reason he's on the tabletop walking around.
Yeah, right.
Wearing what armor now again? I forgot.
Armor of Fate?
Shoot, I forgot. Something like
Isn't
that.
It? I don't know. I'm not good on my modern Gilliman lore.
He's not. He doesn't have to wear it as much anymore. He's training to go without it.
Oh, really?
Take off his Primarch training.
Yeah, he's trying. He's gonna die without that armor or something.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. He would have died from the wounds from Fulgrim.
Oh.
Yeah, but yeah. And one thing I wanted to mention before we move on though is Nate Crowley was the name of the author who does Twice Dead King and Gaskell Thraka. So if you're interested in Xeno stuff, good stuff.
Yeah, and there's definitely more to the literary offerings of the 40K universe that are not just Space Marine stuff. It happens to be mostly what I've read, but there's great books about humans like Gaunt's Ghost and Eisenhorn, stuff like that. If you like
books
knights
on the sisters.
Yeah, sisters. If you like knights and mecha, the big stompy robots, they got books that are kind of focused on that. I really like the Watchers of the Throne series, so that's Custodies and Sisters of Silence, and kind of the High Lords of Terra, which is very interesting. Yeah, it's good stuff. And of course you got tons of Chaos books. So
yeah, there's something for every faction. The Orcs were the last faction to get a book from their perspective, which came out a little while ago.
There's some Tau books, right?
Yeah, they're far and few in between, but they exist.
I don't think you really get a Tyranid book because it would be like 300 pages of hungry and angry, like
Devastation of Ball.
Yeah, well, you get some like Tyranid perspective in that book. You actually do. You get kind of the perspective of a lictor, I think, and that's interesting to see.
I was being serious. Devastation of Ball, that's in there. Yeah. Tyranids more appear in other, but there's books. There are Tyranid focused
books about books out there. Like, what is there to be written about? Like,
just talking about the. It's mostly more. There a lot of times anything about the Nids has the Gene Stealer cults involved.
Right. I mean, I can't just imagine the Nids with like talking to each other or something like that. Like,
they don't. No, it's more like in the specific instance he's talking about in Devastation of Ball, you have a lictor that gets like it basically attaches itself to a ship that ends up coming down onto the planet, and then the lictor goes and does stuff. but you get to see from its perspective how it kind of communicates with a hive mind, and it's definitely not like talking to it, like in the sense that we would speak to each other.
Right.
But it's like sending psychic messages to it, basically. Right. So
it's cool.
Yeah, you kind
it's
of
more
get that sense.
Disembodied observer.
Yeah.
But it's cool.
Yeah, it's interesting to see.
Like in the lore wise, I'm like listening to like what the Nid does or something like that. Other than that, like they just like eat and they just keeps on eating because like they need the biomass and they just keep on breeding, like breeding.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, but like
they're the most primal of beings.
Exactly. But at the same time, it's just like there's nothing. I mean, there's not much that can really stop them, is there? It's like
and this is kind of like a point of contention for some people.
No, I mean, like, hear me out, because like it's like the same sense of like I've heard some of the lore of the Octarius something like what's happening right now is like the Octarius what do you want to call them? I'm not so sure.
Octarius sector.
Yeah, Octarius sector. It's like the same thing. They have like the Nid and the Orc trapped inside a certain like system or something like that, and they just want it to be kept in there. And like since they just kill they just kill each other out or something like that, like Nids, like they harness the biomass from the Orcs, and the Orcs they get all the fight from the Nids. It gets to the point that like, oh my god, they're stuck even, like nothing's happening. It's like a stalemate to the point that they just keep on like getting stronger, and like nothing could stop them or something.
Well, that was the theory.
That's how they bring back Krorks.
Right.
Well, that was the.
But like, what's gonna then in the end? So what's gonna stop them? Is this like a ticking time bomb to the point that
the Nids won?
Wait, the Nids won. Seriously?
Yeah, the Nids won.
Oh,
I was about to say
the problem.
The idea was that they just fight each other forever, and we can just take the problem and push it somewhere
else.
Even
Gaskell Straka was there, if I'm not mistaken.
He was at one point, but he left.
Oh, okay.
He said this party's too crazy for me.
Unfortunately, the Nids got Crusher Stampede, and the Orcs got Lost Buggy Spam. So
that's the in lore. That's the in lore to tabletop. There you go.
Oh my god, is that the reason why?
No.
Would be
lore to tabletop though.
Coincidence?
I just want to go.
Coincidence?
I want to go through some stories though.
I think not.
Lore, the most ridiculous lore to table translation you've ever seen in your life.
Right.
Mine is I saw a guardsman boop a warlord and kill it.
The last wound on a warlord titan.
So he just like walks up to this warlord titan and just like kicks it in the foot, and the whole thing just goes critical and explodes.
Well, hey, if he's only got one wound left,
warlord titan.
If he's only got one wound left, then anything can do it, right?
Exactly. Well, what about you guys? That's mine. Is a guardsman booping a warlord titan?
How's that even? Okay. I do have a certain question. Is that like Octarius reign or region? Let's just call it Octarius sector. I think that's what it's called or something. Yeah. So what I heard is that Nids won. So what next? So what's going to stop the Nids from like killing everybody or something like that? Because like they're at a stalemate, and the ticking time bomb, like it just like keeps massing to the point that it becomes like planet like sector wide or whatever you want to call it, like just kills everything to that par level. Or I'm so confused. Like, what's next? What's gonna stop Nids? Like, honestly, what the hell?
I got my theory.
Honestly, that's
Rachel.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, that's one of the things the community is also curious about at large. Is like, you've made the Nids so strong, essentially, that like it might end up being one of those things where like former enemies have to band together, and like we've already seen the like triple combo against the Nids that was Kabanda, the Necrons, the Blood Angels, and then eventually the Ultramarines. So I guess 4 people came together to take like a chunk of a hive fleet off one planet.
Yeah, that's Leviathan too, like one of the newer ones. Yeah. That's not one of the old ones.
Yeah, that's one of the smaller ones. So I don't know. Like I'm interested to see where it goes.
I have my theories. Because my theory is they brought back one character specifically to Deus Ex Machina this.
What is it?
Cesaric.
Demented.
Yeah, okay.
I think they
I don't
brought
even
back
know
the
who that
Silent
is.
King
The Silent
and the
King.
Necrons. Because he was off in a
Seriously?
different galaxy and presumably time, because chronomancers.
Right.
And I think he
Right.
saw the Nids devastate another galaxy. And he kind of came back being like, oh no. And
Remember,
found out
Necron tech is like crazy as hell. They can definitely do it.
they can kill
So-
gods. Yeah, they kill gods.
Yeah, for fun.
Like they are competing
Then
with
what
the
kind of stuff is
Imperium,
Necron? What the fuck?
despite their biggest
go
dynasty being like 92 worlds. They're
Right.
competing with like the Imperium. Yeah, so their tech is absolutely bonkers. They control time as a joke.
Yeah.
Right.
What is it
Right.
called? What is the
Right.
the celestial orrery or whatever it's called?
Oh yeah,
Am
the
I-
celestial orrery. They just poke
That's
a
dumb.
star on a map. I'm just waiting for that one Necron that drank too much engine oil and just stumbles and falls on the map, and that's how Warhammer ends.
Oops.
Oops, we accidentally blew up Terra because Jeff was drunk again.
Exactly.
Oops.
I thought like Necron's goal was to like kill every single life form in the universe. Or something like that,
That's
if I'm not
destroyer
mistaken.
cults specifically.
It's not all Necrons.
Okay.
Cesar.
So that's not-
no,
that's
imagine
not all.
basically you used to rule the galaxy, and you see the galaxy as your birthright, and you go to sleep,
All right.
and you wake up, and there's a whole bunch of gopher holes in your yard, and it's overrun
And you're
by pests and locusts. You'd want to, call an exterminator.
Right.
The
Right.
Silent King's the exterminator. They want to
He's
clean
just
up.
annoyed at all the stuff that's there,
Yeah.
basically.
He wants to clean up the galaxy, but actually, yeah, and his whole thing is, but the Nids cannot consume Necron. They can't consume Necrodermis.
Right.
Which lucky.
I'm actually
So
surprised.
it's they
Well,
think,
it's not biomass. It's not like
I mean, yeah, you're
So
right.
it's
then
inorganic.
they can't do
They
anything.
literally eat the minerals and
That's
everything,
organic.
like even the freaking ocean.
but
I
yeah,
guess
so Necrodermis
Even the
being the way it
minerals?
is,
Uh huh.
being basically the skin of star gods. It's
Right.
basically made by a star god. They can just reassemble and keep fighting even longer than orcs, and they cannot adapt to Necron tech because there's
Wait, I thought the orcs
nothing
were
to
the-
eat to adapt to it.
Right. But like, I thought the orcs were supposed to be the anti-Necron, if I'm not mistaken.
They are
Right.
they kinda, but that was the Krorks. Modern orcs cannot beat a Necron now.
No.
If the Necrons get back to
Damn.
power.
I was about to say book incoming where the orcs totally dunk on Necrons just to prove Nick wrong.
Yeah, probably, honestly. As of right now, the issue is there's quadrillions and quadrillions, if not pentillions of orcs. There's like maybe a billion Necrons, maybe.
I think a billion might even be pushing it.
Yeah, like I think we're under a billion Necrons. So it's kind of
It'd
like,
be interesting to see.
yeah, there used to be quadrillions of Necrons.
Wait a minute. I just had a funny thought, and Rock, you can contribute on
Oh,
this.
no.
Because
What is it?
part of what we're talking about is lore and the tabletop game, right?
Right. Right.
Hey, Rock. What are Death Shroud Terminators?
Oh my god, don't even get me started with those. Oh my god. So, if I pull up my codex of Death Guard, it says that Death Shrouds are supposed to be the most elitist Terminator of the Mortarion, handpicked by Mortarion, and they're supposed to be the bodyguards of Mortarion. Yes.
Tell me what keyword they don't have.
Oh, what do you mean? They do have the keyword bodyguard.
They do?
They do.
But they don't bodyguard
do.
Mortarion.
Because Mortarion cannot
Yes,
benefit
they
from
don't.
it.
It's just like-
That is probably like the worst thing I've ever seen as far as like a rule like, dude, the only reason the Death Shrouds exist is because they're Mortarion's bodyguards. It'd be like if you were playing Heresy and you had Sanguinius and the Sanguinary Guard don't give him bodyguard.
Right.
Like, what? Like, what?
My It's so dumb.
insane. So much as it goes. Like,
I actually, my personal favorite moment I've personally had with Lord of Tabletop is just the feats of my demonettes defying gods. They've defied Thunderhawks. They have defied Mortarion. They have defied Demacarians. Like, they just survive. They have defied knights. They just survive the most stupid stuff. And then you have to like I have a hilarious pictures of 5 demonettes tying up a hive tyrant.
That's funny.
I have one where a Mortarion killed all but one demonette. So she took that one demonette, stole the objective, and I did the same thing to a Demacarion. I fell back from it and stole the objective for another turn.
Jesus.
And that is the beauty of the tabletop. Literally anything can happen.
But didn't you do that with the Thunderhawk also?
Yes, I did.
If I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
That one demon and surviving the whole brand.
The thing is, something people don't realize, and I just don't think it's talked about enough whenever it comes to this, is for the love of God, if you see demon troop models and you're like, oh, they're only T3, they have an invuln. Do not risk it. Just kill it. Everyone's like, oh, I can just throw a few shots that way, and then I save the one shot that actually connects. And I'm like, I have an invuln. Like, don't risk the little guys surviving because it messes up your whole plan.
It's gonna take more than you think to kill them.
Yeah,
basically.
They're way tankier than any T3 one wound model has any right to be. I remember they got. I had one get shot by a volcano lance, and it literally survived, or a volcano cannon, and it survived. So,
I
just laughed.
I don't have really any like. Well, I guess like Lord of Tabletop, not necessarily, but just like of course tabletop funny stories. There's always good ones.
Funny.
One time, and I haven't played with him in a while because again, Lord of Tabletop that needs updating. Mephiston is stupid strong in the lore, getting to the point where like they have to write him out of certain stories, otherwise it doesn't make any sense because there's just no conflict. Like, okay, Mephiston's there. Everything just dies. Like, he's ridiculously strong. But he's not as strong on the tabletop, kind of for obvious reasons. But one time I was playing my friend Mike back home. Shout out to Mike, and he was playing Space Wolves. And he just decided to bring some Land Raiders for fun. Mephiston hit one, blew it up, didn't die from blowing it up, but the next Land Raider that was next to it blew up. And that Land Raider was close enough to Bjorn that it killed him. And it was just this beautiful chain of exploding things across the tabletop.
My goodness. The chain reaction.
And when he rolled the dice for Bjorn's mortals and then realized it was enough to kill him, I don't think I've ever seen his soul that crushed in a game of 40k. It was beautiful, and Mephiston lived to keep swinging, so it was a good time. That's accurate to the lore. Not killing Bjorn, but just being an absolute death god.
Yeah, that's
an absolute unit.
The things I hate about Lord of Tabletop is like Gilliman and Mephiston and Dante. Their existence.
Well, I mean, Dante's like strong for like a space marine just from his experience, but he's not like
he should still be
he's just a space
he should
marine
still
at the end of the
be
day.
a model on level with Morph and Vol.
He should be a threat for sure.
Yeah.
He should also have more cleaning servitors on the base than Helbrecht because like he deserves it. But like, I actually am very excited for whenever
I feel like Dante's too independent.
The Blood Angels eventually get an update.
I feel like Dante's.
Oh no, I'm joking. I'm just saying, like, you know, Helbrecht is this fancy new model, but Dante still looks like trash. So.
Yeah, no, Dante deserves it.
It's just my personal gripes as a Blood Angel enthusiast. But
Dante absolutely deserves
it doesn't have any actual merit.
As I always say, he's gone from Commander Dante to Lord Commander Dante to Lord Regent Dante, and we have the same model.
And you know what? Yeah.
Just Dante.
You know, if Dante had his say, he wouldn't have a model anymore. He'd be Legends because he'd be dead.
I was saying. That's why whenever like Dante should have servitors, I'm like, no, he wouldn't want him because that means he has to talk to people.
Oh no. Dante's a sad boy. Oh no.
He literally embodies what's best about our chapter. Him and Mephiston. Yin and yang. The edge.
Being sad.
The edge and the sad.
The edge and the sad.
The sad.
But the secret is both of them are sad.
The secret is Dante is edgy and Mephiston. There's a sad in the edgy, and there's edgy in the sad.
Yep.
But yeah, I gotta say though, lore is probably one of the things that keeps me going in Warhammer. I actually have found myself getting more into Sigmar lore than 40k. Their books are super well written.
Yeah, I'm still
a little more lore friendly because the books don't feel like it's always 1 minute to midnight. So to me, that's a huge thing. Is it doesn't feel like it's 1 minute to midnight all the time. So
it's definitely like, how do you make it feel like there's still a sense of impending danger when like the Warhammer 40k universe is just constant impending danger. Like that's the one thing I feel like the Horus Heresy series is good for, is like, one thing people complain about is like, well, you already know how it ends. And I'm like, I think that's a good thing, like there's only so far that they can escalate it in the writing until, you reach the end. It's not this like, what we have with the modern 40k storyline is like, it's open-ended. We don't know how it ends, right? So you can, go any sort of direction with it, which is a good thing and a bad thing, right? But then like Horus Heresy is like, okay, you know what happens at the end. It's like getting the details of what happens to get to that ending, right? Which I think is really interesting.
Yeah, and it's more who's going to make it to the end rather than how does it end. It's like, who's going to make it?
Right. Especially like of the newer characters that didn't exist prior. Like, of course, we had like certain endpoints and characters that exist in, or at least are mentioned as living past the siege in 40k. But there's like new characters that are awesome characters that we don't know if they live past.
And some of them, right? They forgot they were supposed to live to the siege, and they get Deus Ex Machina. I'm not going to give away spoilers, but you know who I'm talking about.
Okay, now.
And
he
gets Deus Ex Machina because, oh wait, no, I didn't really die.
We weren't supposed to kill that one. Whoops.
This is like,
okay, now I know what you're talking about. Now I know what you're talking about.
And he died a heroic death. Dad, no. Sorry.
Did you see his ghost in the sky? I don't think so. He's still alive.
He got Deus Ex Machina so
You see the white
hard.
cloud over there?
I didn't hear no bell, all right?
Basically.
But
I did not see Emperor.
I mean... Yeah, I won't say anything because for the people that haven't read anything and that maybe listen to this podcast and they're like, oh, I'm going to take their recommendation from the podcast. And, if you want to start with the Heresy series, definitely start with Horus Rising.
Yep.
And then, they go to that and they fall in love with certain characters and blah, blah, blah. And then they're like, oh, so, XYZ character totally died, right?
Right. The
wink,
things
wink.
I recommend is definitely, as like, and Rachel, you can pile on to this. Start with Horus Heresy through Flight of the Eisenstein. That's books 1 through 4. And then read about the war in heaven. After that, read about whatever you want.
We have books for that?
I think it's I think it's mentioned. I'm trying to remember what book it was, but it is mentioned. Or at the very least,
well, because I was
read
gonna say,
go on Wikipedia, go on the wiki and read up on the war in heaven. Because if you don't know about the war in heaven, none of the Xenos novels are going to make any sense. And then
I mean,
Chaos.
I think that's a pretty good starting point.
Chaos doesn't make any sense. Don't try. Just enjoy the ride.
You can just read whatever Chaos book you want. Like, honestly. Well, I mean,
everyone hates everyone.
Because I'd say, if we're talking specifically about like you can't have Chaos stuff without also Chaos Space Marines, essentially, because they're just such a big part of it. And the Chaos Primarchs and all that stuff. So understanding the various Chaos Space Marines motivations and the Chaos Primarchs motivations and stuff like that will make a lot more sense if you've already read some Horus Heresy books. So like if you want to read the Night Lords trilogy, which is amazing, it helps to maybe have read Conrad Kurz's Primarch novel or some of the other books where the Night Lords appear, just to understand like how they are and who they are before you get to their modern day counterparts. Like I'm listening to the Black Legion right now, and a lot of the interactions between the characters mean a lot more because of my like prior knowledge of how they were in the Heresy or in the Siege, or how their legions were in the Heresy or the Siege. So it definitely helps to have the background knowledge there. And then it even helps for, I mean, anything that deals with Space Marines at all, or the Imperium, because you're going to understand why Gilliman has the motivations that he does, or why certain chapters are the way that they are, especially first founding chapters and stuff like that.
Or why Cato Sicarius has super ultra mega depression.
You mean ultra depression?
Like Gilliman has ultra depression.
Like, I love how they were like
Sicarius. They took it a step further.
I love how they were like, how do we make him relatable? Oh,
make him sad.
Depression.
Really, if you're gonna pick any legion, like if you read those first 4 books, and you're like, man, I want to learn about this legion. Start with their Primarch novel.
Then go find that book.
Or we'll start with their Primarch novel if it exists. Or each legion has either a Primarch novel, a legion specific novel, or both from the Heresy series. Find that one. That's a great starting point.
Go read that.
And then read whatever you want.
I mean, that's what I did.
It just gives you a starting point.
That's what I did.
You can kind of go where there's no real order after that outside of trilogies. But yeah, like if you're gonna
and then there's like there's some books that kind of go in a little like there's an arc here and there's an arc there, but like seriously, read the first 4, figure out what you like from that, and then just go read whatever you're interested in. That's why I play Blood Angels, because I read the first 4 and then I was like, hey, I need to get an army. The Blood Angels look pretty cool. Let me read their book.
Right.
And that was the end. And here I am. So.
I went off and I read Fulgrim because it was the next book.
And it's good.
And now I want to play Emperor's Children.
But oh my god, I hate Eidolon so much.
Eidolon hates Eidolon.
I gotta ask though.
Yeah, it's okay.
Wait, I gotta ask, like, is this true that like Cato Sicarius, does he always go like
he does not.
No, he doesn't always
do that. He's not. It's the whole point.
Yeah, he's not like his meme
He talks about himself a lot and his accomplishments. So
he's done a lot of stuff, to be fair.
But the joke was because he's always talking about himself. He's always like, I, Cato Sicarius. But no, he was he went from ultra cocky to ultra sad. He reached the 360 circle. He became so cocky, he got sad.
Didn't he get lost in the warp for like 100 years and watched everybody die horribly?
That's what did him in. The trauma did him in. The
that'll
trauma
do
did it. Just like everyone else in Warhammer.
Every character gets spicier with trauma.
Exactly.
Yeah. You gotta give him a little bit of trauma.
Jesus.
Like a little spice.
Trauma is the spice of life, apparently.
Spice.
Trauma's the spice of the Warhammer 40k site.
Anyways, I mean, if you don't have trauma, you're doing Warhammer wrong. Anyways,
I mean, this is why the orcs are the real winners of 40k, because they don't have trauma, they just have fun.
They can't have trauma, they don't count.
Like that's what they're doing. What they're so
they don't count. They don't have trauma. They just have hunger,
which I guess is trauma. But that's all from me tonight. Anything from the two of you?
Go read, please.
Read, you nerds.
I promise. Read. Don't please, I beg of you. Please don't just get all of your lore from like meme sources. Like just go read some books.
Baltimore, he's okay.
They're good. There's nothing.
Except Baltimore,
there's nothing wrong with enjoying the memes. But you know, I'd say Luton and Baltimore are 2 great YouTubers that do follow pretty closely to the lore of like what exists out there. But yeah, go read. Yeah, it's good. It's good. I promise.
All right, and that's all
Rock, you got anything to add?
From you, Rock?
Well, this is what I have to say.
I, Kato Zacharias, does find the war report to be the end of this episode.
Well,
Yeah, that's a good
in
way to
lieu
end.
of our missing comrade today, Nurgle bless.